All right, welcome into this quick instant reaction. I guess it ain't as instant as it once was anymore, but instant reaction to the Ravens loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't get a chance to do it on Thursday, so I'm doing it right now. And it's interesting because I almost want to say it's not by design, but I kind of want to say I'm kind of glad I got to see the rest of the teams, and then I got a chance to make this video because we all know week one football is kind of sloppy for the most part. Like it really is. It's just for for whatever reason, because guys haven't played in the preseason, because this is your first in-game reps against first team defenses, first team offenses, it becomes a little sloppy. So I think the expectation, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were having a discussion about week one and about specifically the Kansas City Chiefs game against the Ravens, and how you kind of wish this game was week four, week five, week six, maybe week eight, maybe when they're really clicking later on in the season. For the simple fact of, I think you would get a more accurate game. It's obvious that both of these teams are going to look way different later. And the crazy part about it is not to say that either team looked great, but they looked good enough to beat the other, if that makes sense, right? I mean, the Ravens lost in this game by pretty much a toe. It was an errant throw the play before, or miscommunication. It might not even been. I think the first step you go is inaccuracy, but it might not even have been that, to be honest. I mean, watching the back, sometimes Bateman was heading that way, Zay was heading that way, and it looked more like miscommunication than it did an errant throw. But then you make the perfect play to potentially tie the game, maybe even win the game, because they were going for two. And Isaiah Likely's foot is just out, like just by the smallest of margins is out, right? And it's crazy, man. It's crazy, and we talk about this a lot. The roller coaster of emotions, a football game, especially a Ravens football game, if you're a Ravens fan, can take you on is wild. But as y'all know, the Kansas City Chiefs did win the game 27-20 as for the rest of the AFC North, on this Sunday afternoon. As for the rest of the AFC North, we saw the Browns not be able to really do much and nothing against the Steelers. They look like they're in for a long season. And it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to read too much into week one though either, right? And I want to keep believing in Deshaun Watson, but do I? Right? Like, who knows? Like, that's a whole another question for a whole nother day. But the Steelers are the lone AFC North team to get a win today. With Justin Fields coming in for, I don't know if he was injured. I don't know if Russell Wilson was injured or not. But with hello, but I don't know if he was injured or not, or what happened. Like, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure what it was. But I will say it's just gonna be interesting, right? To see the Russell Wilson, that whole thing, that's gonna be interesting. The Bengals ended up losing to the Patriots, and I think probably the shocker of the week. And the Browns just didn't look like themselves, against the Cowboys. And really, when you think about it, the Steelers leading the AFC North is crazy to think about too, because you just don't know what you got in the Steelers, and that's even after week one. So I think I think the thing is, I think the thing is, I think going back to the Ravens Chiefs game, I kind of put it in the title: the Chiefs are the Ravens Kryptonite, because they are, right? The Chiefs are the Ravens Joker, because they are. You know, um, I've been hearing a lot of people say, well, the Chiefs Ravens rivalry isn't really a rivalry because the Ravens can't beat the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs Ravens rivalry isn't a rivalry because they can't beat the Chiefs. So if it's one sided, how can it be a rivalry? Um, but at the same time, I think some of the best rivalries are those little underdog rivalries where, uh, you know, the team or the hero or even sometimes the villain who just can't get the job done for whatever reason it is. When they finally do, it's this big deal. And I think for the Ravens, eventually it will be. I think eventually it will be. And I think we will see. I think, and it could be later on this season, we will see the Ravens beat the Chiefs. I think this game was kind of more the same, unfortunately, right? In a knee-jerk reaction way, in a quick thoughts way, this game was more of what we're used to, right? As Hendo would say from the Road Pod, is horrible, right? Horrible, right? Like time management at the end of the game. You leave yourself. You kind of threw away one of your plays because considering how this offensive line plays, at least played in this game, you knew for a fact that Lamar was going to have to extend the play for it to work, for this offense to work. That was a lot of what this offense was. It was leaning on Lamar as usual and letting Lamar be who he is, right? Like leaning on Lamar being the leading rusher again, and still wondering what you got in the wide receiver room, still wondering who's going to be the consistent guy, still wondering who's going to be the guy, who's going to be that guy, right? Like that's the biggest thing. I think unfortunately it's more the same. Bad clock management, weird coaching snafus, for lack of a better term, weird coaching decisions that come back to bite you in the butt later on, going for what I think. I don't know. I would love to hear that. I don't know if any of you guys know it, but I would love to hear the numbers on if Justin Tucker misses a field goal for the Ravens. How often or not do they win those games? Because it seems like every time there's a correlation to it. Every time Justin Tucker misses a field goal, it seems as if the Ravens lose the game. So that's another just random thought slash could be fact, depending on who knows what's going on. But I think, just to break it down offensively and defensively, I feel like defensively it was mostly okay. Honestly, and maybe I'm saying this rashly right now, but honestly, this feels like one of the better defensive games against the Chiefs. Now, I think what Mike McDonald did in the second half of last year, the AFC Championship game, was the best we've ever seen the Ravens defense play against the Chiefs. But I think this was pretty close. I think you take away, there was some the broken play with Xavier Worthy, which is the one guy you don't want to leave wide open anywhere, and the other part is you got that broken play, and then defensively, you trying to talk. Defensively, Billy though, but defensively, go play. Defensively, I think that was one of the best performances we've seen from the Ravens against the Chiefs. There's been times where the Chiefs, I don't want to say felt like they were unstoppable, but felt like you couldn't get them off the field on third down. And it felt like, at least for the most part, it felt like the Ravens did a good job of stopping them. Now, there were some times where some miscommunications happened and, some head scratching plays, penalties, which seem to be just the issue right now for the Ravens, not only on offense, but on defense as well. I mean, stupid penalties. Roquan Smith, I don't know what he was thinking in this game. Like, I get they were calling it tight, but once you realize that, like, you can't hit Mahomes on the sidelines. Like, I mean, some stuff just don't make sense. The Ravens are their own worst enemy every single time. I don't feel like teams beat the Ravens. The Ravens beat the Ravens every single time. The old saying was Brett screwed Brett. Well, the Ravens screwed the Ravens more often than not, and I think that's what's frustrating sometimes. And it's I hate to say it, but I think that Harbaugh's gonna have to step up and say, like, we cannot beat ourselves. How are we beating ourselves, bro? Like that's what I don't understand. But it's early, it's early. Offensively, I still feel like the Ravens are a team that lacks identity. Now, albeit like we said before, did we expect offensive fireworks in the first game of the season? No. Even though the Ravens have shown that they can do that, but especially with the Ravens not playing the preseason anymore, I think the Ravens starting slow is not surprising. Anybody starting slow that don't play the preseason is kind of surprising. It's not surprising, and a little miscommunication here and there, not surprising. But I do feel like the Ravens, that in order to beat the Chiefs, you almost have to be kind of perfect, and there wasn't. Turnover margin was pretty good in the Ravens' favor. It just seems like it just seems like the Ravens get in their own way against the Chiefs, and that's just one of the teams you can't get in your own way against. You know what I mean? You cannot get in your own way against the Chiefs. And offensively, it's going to be interesting to see how this offense develops, because to see if the chemistry ever comes with Bateman and Lamar, to see what Tez Walker does, to see what or if Tez Walker does anything, to see what Tyler Wallace does, to see. It was good to see Isaiah Likely and what he did. All of this, there's a lot of questions to be had. There's Isaiah Likely going off. There's Rashad Bateman making big catches, but not a high volume guy right now. So there's that part of it. There's Lamar having to not only run for his life, but which is something we said before the thing, which is funny. But we said in the preview about this offensive line, but there's Lamar kind of running for his life, but also running with a purpose, and that's another part of it too. That's another part of it too. It's going to be interesting, man. I think this, I don't think we should read too much into week one. I'm sure I'll talk about this game a little bit more in depth in a later video, but I don't think we should read too much into week one. I think we need to take week one with a grain of salt, especially against the defending Super Bowl champs. You win this game, you probably think about it a little bit differently, but because of the loss, and it was a tight game, you played well. You played well enough to win the game. You just you got in your own way one or two many times. And I mean, let's be honest, you lost the game because you couldn't, get your toe in on the last play of the game. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm excited for this season. I can't wait. For week two, I'm definitely gonna be getting back with y'all to discuss this week two matchup because it's gonna be a lot of fun. I always tend to give the Ravens, especially because they don't play preseason, 4-week like grace period to find themselves. Not a 4, but I'm not expecting the Ravens to go 0-4. I give the Ravens a little bit of grace because they don't play in the preseason. And I think the preseason is a little bit important, at least for establishing chemistry, at least for getting in-game speed, in-game reps. So that's another part of it too. But of course, you don't want to get your guys injured. But it's gonna be an interesting season, especially looking at as it is a Sunday afternoon, looking around the rest of the league. You got the Chargers getting their first win in their last 6 games, with J.K. Dobbins looking like the guy that the Ravens, I think, knew that he was, but they kind of just had to let go of it. Even thinking about how Ojabo played in this game, it still makes you wonder about another pass rusher. Should they? Shouldn't they? We'll see. At least with the rest of the AFC North, who know, it's always a tough race to the finish. So that's going to be a part of it too. I mean, you got other, teams throughout the league that just found ways to play well today. And it's so early in the season, after 1 week, it's too early to tell what people are. And like I said, I always give a little bit of a grace period, just because, new teams are running new offenses. There's new quarterbacks. There's new receivers, new weapons, right? New offensive lines trying to find their way too. And, that all of that's going to take time. But I definitely hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let me know. I do want to know what you guys thought. I'm going to make it simple at least. Do me a favor down below in the comments. Let me know what was one thing you liked about how the Ravens performed against Kansas City Chiefs, and one thing that you were like, they could have did better when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. But we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show. I'll see you guys in not too long from now. I promise. Not too long from now to get you that preview for week 2. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Until next time.